Hello, I'm John Belcher from the law offices of John Belcher. I'm a 43-year attorney, and I've had extensive experience having sued over 50 insurance carriers and have extensive experience with fire losses. The title of this video is the California Unfair Plan. And unfortunately, just like the same people who allowed reservoirs to remain dry and fire hydrants to be dry, the management of the California Fair Plan has been patently horrible and is going to result in hundreds of millions of dollars of uninsured loss, which was totally avoidable. Why do I say that? Well, first off, California Fair Plan doesn't have the money. What they do is hopefully they don't have an attorney on the other side and they seem to be nice, but they don't make the payouts. Why is that? Even if you had built a brand new home in Malibu, and even if you had receipts proving that you had spent 3.2 million on the construction a month ago, and you had a contractor who was willing to say that, and you had the maximum amount of coverage under a California Fair Plan, would that information mean that you're going to get the policy limits? No, absolutely not. You're going to get the slow roll. And why is that? The total amount of cash available to California Fair Plan right now is $377 million. So if they write $1 million check to 377 people, which won't rebuild those 377 houses, they're out of money. And they were clever enough to have a $900 million self-insured retention before the reinsurance kicks in. So ultimately, there is not enough money. So here we sit at the end of February 2025. When is fire season in California? It's from June to October. We are just warming up. The fact that they're grossly underwater already will only be compounded between here and October. And not only are they underwater, the state of California allowed them to put a $1 billion assessment on private insurance carriers, as they are allowed to do under California law. Well, wait a minute. Where does that $1 billion come from? It comes from all the people that aren't on Fair Plan, meaning that there will be surcharges on the policies and everyone else's fire insurance will go up. Or, worse yet, the carriers will just leave the state because that is their choice. Either contribute to Fair Plan when it is ordered by the state, or leave. And trust me, many people in high fire areas, including many common interest developments, can't get insurance at any price. In fact, over 10% of houses in California are uninsured. And don't you just love, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and they, show as soon as there's a loss, the agent is there to come help you. And they'll have Patrick Mahomes, who's a really great looking guy, on a Super Bowl commercial that they paid $6 million for a minute, when in fact, State Farm canceled 1,600 policies in Pacific Palisades within 2 months of the time of the Palisades fires. Is that really a good neighbor? And what is it that insurance adjusters do. What they do is find ways to burn you, no pun intended, out of your money. The California insurance process, in all cases other than defined wildfire disasters, has an appraisal process. And what that means is that if the insured and the insurance carrier can't agree on what a number is, appraisers are appointed, one on the part of the insurance carrier, one on the part of the insured. If they agree on something, fine. If they can't, then those two appraisers submit the dispute to a third appraiser. But that third appraiser has to be a fire certified appraiser. And the people in that universe know that if they go against the carriers often enough, they won't get picked because there is a veto power. Now, why is it that that appraisal process has relevance to the fire victims here? Well, even though, as a technical matter, the mandatory appraisal is not in place, the appraisal process creates an ecosystem where there are people whose job is to go and find ridiculous depreciation and lowball everything and do it all day on behalf of the insurance carriers. And make no mistake about it, on rebuilding, this is the way the game is played. I had a case within the last 2 weeks where I had a client and there was a problem with the actual frame of a building. The welds were bad. There were other issues where bolts weren't tightened. And these frames cost $60,000 per to be replaced. You would think that that would be the beginning and end of the issue, particularly when the insured actually paid the 60%. But no, a quote contractor, unquote, who hadn't actually done any work for anybody in 30 years and who never got a bid, created an expert report and said, oh, no, it's actually 20,000. And that is how that industry works. You have people that work for the carriers and their only job is to make up phony lowball numbers that the insured then has to counter. Well, what's the insured supposed to do? Well, you have to go out and get bids, and good luck going to multiple contractors now and getting bids, assuming that you can get them. And even then, you have to fight with the carrier, and they know they've got you. And do you think with the Palisades and Malibu and Eaton Canyon and Altadena, all in Los Angeles County, that the courts can possibly handle this? And what is so distressing is that the insurance department itself examined the situation with the FAIR Plan in 2022. And they found that the solvency of FAIR Plan was significantly weaker than other states, that they had lower capital levels and reduced insurance coverage, and that they lacked sufficient management, and they weren't managing their liquidity properly enough. So here we go. It's 2025. We knew that FAIR Plan was undercapitalized. The insurance department itself raised the issue of poor management. And was anything done? Absolutely not. The California Unfair Plan is going to have the effect of unbelievable hundred billions of dollars of pain inflicted on victims of the wildfire who have enough to worry about. John Belcher, Law Offices of John Belcher, The Ugly Truth of the California Unfair Plan.